If you want to save the world, you're not going to do this by changing people's thinking. That's never going to work to tell people, I'm sorry, could you be a little colder, a little more uncomfortable, a little poorer to save the world? Most people are not going to buy into that, and certainly not when it gets really expensive. The only way that we have solved problems in the world is through innovation. If you can get green energy, for instance, to be cheaper than fossil fuels, everyone will switch, not just rich, well-meaning Poles and the rest of the EU or the US, but also China, India, and Africa. So this is all about innovation. Unfortunately, we're right now very focused on feeling virtuous and spending lots of money on doing fairly little good. What we need to spend more money on is innovation. So a lot of people think that what I'm saying is provocative or controversial, but I'm really just saying the uncomfortable truth that we're not going to be able to achieve what we want by simply virtue signaling, by keeping on saying, oh, in Europe, we're going to cut back our carbon emissions a lot. Remember, mostly what that means is we're so rich we can afford to become poor, and we are so rich that we can afford to just be bankers for the rest of the world. But production has to happen somewhere. We're simply pushing production elsewhere. We feel virtuous, but it doesn't help the environment. Remember, if all of Europe went net zero today and stayed that way for the rest of the century, it would reduce temperatures by the end of the century by 0.14 degrees centigrade. We wouldn't be able to measure it in 100 years. This is not about Europe feeling virtuous. This is about making sure the world actually changes its act. And that's only going to happen through innovation. I'm controversial and annoying because I say this out loud. It doesn't fit the standard narrative, but we should be talking about it. So people sometimes ask me, does it matter that I'm from Denmark? I don't think so. I mean, yes, we're actually a nation that's more willing to say things as they are. We're not highfalutin. We'll just tell you, straight out, this is how the deal is. But I think it's much, much more about simply being honest about the big problems in the world. If we think this is just about virtue signaling, we will all be, chumming each other and saying, oh, we're so good at this. But that's not what climate change or any of the other problems of the world is about. It's not about us feeling good. It's about we actually making a difference in the world. And that's through innovation on climate, but it's also remembering all the other problems in the world. So, tuberculosis and malaria in the world that kills, several million people each year. It's about getting people out of poverty. It's about getting better education. It's about nutrition. It's about all these very simple, basic things where we also have a responsibility. And I think being from Denmark maybe make it a little easier for me to say these things, but honestly, I think we all need to say them.